Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Edna White. I am your host of Keeping It Real on Purpose. And today I'm so glad that you're here with us today. We are having real talk with life coaches. And we're going to continue this along the way with our special guest today, Tina C. Hines. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. I like that she is a fifth generation healer, an intuitive clairvoyant, and a medium.
Mhm.
I think she may be the first one we had in the show, which I'm really excited
Oh,
about. She holds a certificate as an international transformation specialist. Tina's distinctive approach has established her as an authority, in transformational coaching. Whew, what a mouthful. Her influence intent extends across continents as she hosts international healing retreats that empower women to rediscover their own happiness and live unapologetically abundant. Tina provides immersive experiences that combine spiritual growth, energy work, and guided meditation. With a wealth of experience, Tina has graced numerous podcasts and has been featured in esteemed media platforms, including Good Morning America, the New York Times, and the Tamara Hall Show. Welcome to Keeping It Real on Purpose.
thank you so much.
Welcome. So I want to know what it means to be a fifth generation healer.
Responsibility, carrying on the
Ooh.
torch. Um, excuse me, carrying on the torch that my grandmothers had laid the foundation for.
Okay.
I didn't find out that I had my gift until I was like 40 years old. And
Wow.
didn't know the family, there are certain things we don't talk about in the family. That was one of them. That was
Oh
not a
yeah.
topic of conversation at the dinner table.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And I didn't find out until I was going through a period of clinical depression. And in the midst of the depression, I was going through depression and an awakening at the same time.
Right.
And as I'm going through that process, I'm starting to feel the presence of my grandmothers around me and
Mm-hmm.
not having felt it before. The pleasure is I've met all of them except my great great grandmother. So
Right.
when I saw them, when I saw the vision of their spirit, I knew exactly who they were. And then I was started to ask some of my family members, did anyone in our family have a gift or anything? And no one was really saying anything. And
Okay.
then they met one of my aunts. She made the suggestion to go talk to our elder in our family now that she is, and ask her about it. And
Right.
so I call her up and I'm like, I need to pick your brain because something is happening, and I think I might have to commit myself to a hospital because I'm going crazy.
Right.
And so as I'm sharing with her, I was like, her mother and my grandmother were sisters. And I
Okay.
go, I'm seeing Nana, I'm seeing your mom, and I'm seeing Grandma Harriet, and I'm seeing some woman, I don't know who she is. And she's like, describe her to me. And
Yeah.
so I start giving her a description of the spirit that I was seeing. And she goes, oh, that's your great great grandma Jenny. You're just
Hmm.
like her, and I've been waiting for you. And that's how I found out. You're just
Well.
like her, and I've been waiting for you.
Okay.
So,
So you're
yeah, go ahead.
describing this now. You're describing this now. Okay. Right.
Hmm.
And we hear this all the time. I hear healers. I hear all of these words floating around. And now that I have you in front of me, I really want to know specifically, like very clearly, what is a healer? What you really like. Just we hear the
Hmm.
words. Like
Yeah,
empaths. We hear that word, and
yeah.
it's thrown around. I want to know, not what you are, what that gift is.
So
Specifically.
it's different for everybody. I can only
Okay.
speak for me. And
Okay.
for me, energetically, I can help you release some of the weight that is sitting on you.
Okay.
And there are occasions where I can't cure diseases. So I tell people that all the time. I can't cure diseases, but I can
Okay.
help ease some of your discomfort in the
Okay.
process. whether you are in my face or whether we are remotely, because I've done both.
Okay.
Some people view it as Reiki.
Okay.
I don't view it as Reiki because I'm not Reiki certified, so I won't claim that.
Right.
I have an innate gift that was passed down through my
Okay.
family. I
Okay.
I sort of lay hands on you, but don't lay hands on you. And
Mm-hmm.
I start connecting with your various chakras to identify
Okay.
where there could be a
Okay.
blockage.
Yes.
And some of my tools I use, simple
Mm-hmm.
tools, sage,
Gotcha.
crystals,
Mm-hmm.
and chimes and sound bowls, and
Okay.
start shifting the vibration that's sitting
Right.
within your body.
Right. Right.
For
Okay.
me, that's what healing is for me.
Okay.
And
Okay.
sometimes as I'm extracting it, I
Mm-hmm.
feel it. So there are occasions where I could be knocked out for a couple of hours to a couple of days.
I
When I do
see.
my retreats, I am wiped out for literally 2 days. I can't
Okay.
do any type of work
Okay.
because everybody has walked away floating, feeling lighter, feeling
Okay.
like something has shifted in them.
Gotcha.
And so that's what the healing is in the way that I describe it, and the way my
Okay.
experience is.
Okay. All right. So would so it's energy work,
It's
correct?
energy work. It is
Gotcha.
energy work.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Now I want to ask you another question. I know you didn't because now
No,
you got my brain going.
I
So
love
you know
when
how
people
like
ask questions. It's
okay,
important for
okay.
you to
So you
be
know how they
informed versus
say
misinformed.
about spiritual coaches or I think so. I think that's the word. Is that the same?
Um, I
No.
how do I describe this? Yes and no, because when
Okay.
I there is spirituality in me,
Right.
but but I I work with your loved ones because sometimes your loved ones do come through,
Okay.
and when they do come through, I start describing them so you know who they are. And
Gotcha.
sometimes as a channeler, I take on their mannerisms.
Okay. Okay.
So
Okay.
all of that happens for
Okay.
me.
Okay.
And the spirituality does come into play. However, because I like to always be clear with people, it
Right.
is not to replace whatever your faith is,
Oh, that's
because
good.
I am not here to change your mind or convert
Gotcha.
you to anything.
Gotcha.
I am here to work with you as a woman to
Right.
help you release or
That's
remove
good.
or learn how to better work through some of the challenges that you face in your
That's
life.
good. That's good.
Energetically,
Energetically. Gotcha.
energetically, that's
Hmm.
how we are connected. So
Right.
as people are
Right.
meeting me and they're saying, "You're so light, you're so peaceful, you're so this,"
Right. Right.
and I am like, I am light. I can't describe it for anything. There is nothing dark about the work that I do. I
Right.
can't
Right.
speak for anyone else. I keep saying
Right.
that.
Right. No, I
I
get
can
it.
only
Yeah.
speak for me. And there's not darkness over here. It's all pure light because the
Yeah.
light in me sees the light in you.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, I'm going to say that energy can't be dark. I'm going to say spirit can be dark, maybe.
Hmm.
It can. I don't know if energy ever is dark because when energy's off, it's dark.
And
That makes
when
sense.
energy's off, it's dark, right?
Yeah,
Very true.
but I always wanted to ask that because we hear the words, like I said, empaths. We hear these other
Hmm.
words, and I know um, that's a beautiful gift that you have, and I think it always gets kind of crowded out because of that family thing that we all have. We
Hmm.
don't talk
Yeah.
about it, and I have the gift of knowing what someone's going through. I can see what their life is, and I just look at them.
Hmm. Yeah.
I was like that when I was a kid, and I kept saying to my mom, like one time we was at some event and she had a friends over. I said, "Why is that man hitting her?" And she said, "Oh, he's not hitting her. What are you getting that from?" I said, "I see it, you know."
Hmm.
But we don't talk about those
No,
gifts. We
no,
don't
we
talk
don't.
about, and they're innate. They're not something that somebody just. They're innate.
Yes,
That's why they're generational. Correct.
correct. And most people think like I can remember when I first started developing my gift, and I would encounter people where they would say, "Oh, I've never met a black medium or African American medium." And I'm like, "Okay." And they're like, "You need to go to these classes. You need to go do this." And I'm like,
Right.
"Yeah." And
You
so
want to capitalize on it.
I try to go to these classes, And then my grandmother is like, no, 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 that's not where you're supposed to be, because we didn't have any books to learn. We learned by
No,
doing.
no.
And literally, that's how my journey began. I was on social media
Yeah.
and I was inviting people to allow me
Yeah.
to share my gift with them.
Right,
And
right.
each one is heightened at different times. There
Gotcha.
are moments where my clairvoyancy is up here and everything else is down below.
Right.
And then my mediumship. Now I'm in a season where the healing is taking prominence over
Gotcha.
everything.
Gotcha. All right.
And it's very, very clear.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. And I'm going to tell you, I believe that when you're operating unapologetically in
Hmm.
your third eye and your crown, I believe that it's innate. It just happens.
Yes.
And I think our grandparents did that innately.
Hmm.
I was talking to my mom the other day. I said, I lived with my great grandparents, and I said, I can't remember a time that I ever felt sick. I can't even.
Hmm.
I've never been sick. I've never been sick. I was around them, and I was like, they were so, their energy was so high, that they didn't have to talk about God.
Right.
They didn't have to.
Right.
It didn't have to. My grandmother, I think the only thing I ever saw her have was a Bible, and she never
Hmm.
opened it. I'm gonna tell you, she always held it. And I don't know what the significance of that, but later on, my mom told me she couldn't read. Right, my great grandmother, she couldn't read,
Hmm.
but I didn't know. I was telling my mom, and now I realize it was the frequency they were on that had nothing to do with anything outer happening.
Hmm.
And I think we
Yeah.
lost that gift along the way from
Correct. I
generation to
agree.
generation.
Yes, I agree. And because, as I said, my family, from my mother, this falls on my mother's side of the family.
Gotcha.
And, my grandmother was a dreamer. And
Hmm.
the only reason we knew that she was a dreamer was because we found one of my aunts had one of three of her journals. And in
Right.
her journals, she would write down some of her dreams. So that's how we knew about her.
Right.
My cousin is the one who shared with me about her mother, and her mother
Hmm.
was a healer. She was like,
Okay.
yeah, people would come for mommy to heal them. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, okay. And so we learned how everybody was doing their work.
Right.
My great grandmother, she was the wife of a Pentecostal minister. I grew up in church. My mother is
Right.
a minister.
Right.
So all of this is really challenging on occasions,
Yeah.
because
Sure.
I believe there is a higher power, because I tell people this all the
Yes.
time. And
Yes.
people will say, is this a faith base, what you're doing? I said, it's a woman base. That's
It's
what it is.
it's a
It's a
whole
woman.
energy. It's a whole energy thing,
Right.
girl. It's a whole energy thing. It really is.
Yeah.
I
Because
really, I didn't even think that when I saw you. I'm gonna tell you, I didn't think anything about anything because I'm learning. Don't think anything. Don't expect anything. But I knew that this higher type of living is in
hmm
us. We just
yes, it
lost
is.
it. We commercialized it along the way. We
Mm-hmm.
separated it and pieced it to certain people, along the way. But it
Yeah.
was always in us because, and I'm gonna say this because you just said something that was really important. When I was in church, those things that I did see, those things that I did hear, they would say it was witchcraft.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I stopped I'm gonna tell you there's a certain time in my life, when I was young, I could see from like 7 to maybe 12, right?
Hmm.
Then life kind of got in the way, traumas and everything. But when I started when I started going in church, I had these already. I knew things that I would say would come to pass, and I don't even know how I knew it. Like I had no
Right.
idea how I knew it. And I remember I was preaching at a church sermon, and they asked me to do the prayer. I don't like laying hands on people, so I said, everybody just come up, and
Hmm.
then I just raised my hand, but I was compelled to speak to this one person, and I leaned over and I said something in his ear, right? And he
Hmm.
just fell down, right? And he was just, he was praying, and then we went and sat down. He stands up and he says, I have to confess something. And he said, I can no longer do this. And he said out of his own mouth, he was a pastor. He said that I've been watching pornography, and I want to thank God for this lady here because she said in my ear, stop doing what you're doing. And I had no idea. And he like literally said, I'm the pastor of a church. I'm going to give them over to this church, my parishioners, because I have to get help. And I couldn't believe it. So afterwards, I'm reeling from this, and I'm like, okay, I'm talking to God, like, yo, come on, God, like I didn't mean to do it, like it just happens, and I'm hearing, this is witchcraft. So of course, when I get back to the base church, they say something to me, and they say, you don't have that power. I stopped.
Wow.
He said, you don't have that power. You don't have
Wow.
that power to tell anybody. I said, I didn't tell. I don't know that person. Never met him.
Right.
Never seen him before in my life. Didn't
Hmm.
know who he was.
Hmm.
And I leaned over and said something to him. And I didn't even remember what I said to him after I sat down. I had no idea. But that those type of outside interferences
Hmm.
stop us. Is that it? Have you ever been challenged with something like that?
What's so interesting is I don't recall being challenged because I'm very intentional in how
Okay.
I move around
Okay.
and the spaces that I allow myself to be in.
Right.
Um, I do have, there are people who struggle with my gift because it makes them uncomfortable. And
Right.
I try to tell them, listen, I'm never going to say or do anything to make you feel uncomfortable. But I
Right.
do want to make you aware that I do have this gift, but I'm never going to come to you and say, listen, I got a message for you. I don't
Right.
do that.
Right.
If I'm
Yeah.
feeling
You're not going to
something from
solicit. Yeah.
someone, I don't have time. I don't have
Yeah.
the time, energy, nor the patience to do it. I truly don't.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to experience something, I'm going to ask permission,
Right.
and I'll
Right.
say, "Can I speak freely?" But
Right.
most people that I ask, "Can I speak freely?"
Mhm.
Because that empath, people start talking to you immediately and don't even know why you tell them your business, why they
Right.
tell you your business. And
Right.
I had an experience with someone where they told me, "Your
Mhm.
gift makes me uncomfortable. I don't know what happens." And what was interesting was there was another party sitting in front of us. And so I
Wow.
don't say anything and I say, "Yeah, I understand."
Mhm.
And I'm
Mhm.
not pushing what I do upon you.
Right.
And then she just started sharing so much more.
Right.
And
Right.
the person across from us looks and goes, well, you do realize you just told Tina a whole bunch of stuff, right? And she looks at me like, oh, I never even thought about it. And
Uh-huh.
I was like, but this is my life every day. I can be sitting in the
Yes.
airport and people will just out of the blue start talking to me.
Me
They
too. And
feel,
I'm
there's
like,
something about, I feel safe, I feel seen, I feel heard.
yes. And that's what one of my friends just told me that, they they said to me that, whenever you speak, it's just that people feel safe and that they're willing to like let things out. And I was like, I didn't recognize that in myself, but that is part of being um open open to that next level of living, you know I would say energetically.
Yes, most
Hmm.
definitely.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I create the space because I do.
Yeah.
You may not know in that moment that there is some things that you need to share,
Right.
that
Got
you
you.
need to release. And
Hmm.
I'm creating the space for you to do that, which is
Got you.
actually how I started coaching, because I used to have women come to my house, like my friends and everything would come to my house, but we were
Hmm.
supposed to be having a book club, but we never read the book. And we were talking about life. We're talking about our children, our
Right.
significant
Right.
others, work, our businesses.
Right.
And it just shifted into this space of the sisterhood of women coming together and
Hmm.
knowing that they can have conversations that does not leave my condo. And they did feel like we can talk to you just about anything, and you're not about to judge us,
Right.
and you're going to give us some tough love. You're going to be straight no chaser with a hint of tough
Right.
love, because I
Right.
sort of kind of tell people I got no filter. If you
Right.
don't want to know the truth, I am not the right person to ask.
Does you sound like me? Oh my goodness. Don't ask no questions just to get all the truth. Oh goodness. Okay.
Hmm.
That's good. So how does this type of energy work help you to rediscover your happiness?
So, when women are starting to live their true authentic self, I think a lot
Gotcha.
of it, because my age demographic is between 35 and 50, some higher. And all
Yes.
of a sudden, there's this evolution that is starting to happen for many of us where we're realizing that we have given our all to everybody else and we didn't save
Hmm.
anything for ourselves.
Right.
And as we're working on identifying more of what does bring you joy, some of them have actually saying to me, I've been giving so much, I don't even know what brings me joy anymore.
Hmm.
And I'm struggling with trying to figure that out.
Right. Right.
So, as I'm taking them on this journey of exploration
Hmm.
to identify, well, where did the joy start dissipating? Let's start there because we always have to get to the root. Many
Hmm.
times, the root is an uncomfortable space.
Right. Right.
The goal
Okay.
when I'm working with my clients is I don't want you to stay there. I just want you to get what we need from there so we can run
Right.
and move forward so you're not remaining stuck or paralyzed in that space for longer than you need to.
Right.
Because that's what's overpowering your happiness. I
Gotcha.
like to say we're in this relationship with fear and doubt. And we're in love with fear and doubt, and everything that we deal with is fear and doubt. Happiness is over here waving their hand like, hey, boo, come on over here. I want to love on you a little bit.
Hmm. Hmm.
But fear and doubt is a little bit louder than the happiness because you've had so many setbacks and experiences, and people
Right.
have whispered in your ear that it lives permanently with you. The happiness, you can't lean into that as much as you want to. And
Hmm.
it's like, okay, wait a minute, fear, doubt, do I do go to happiness? But you're over there dating happiness. And as you're in the dated happiness, fear is like, come on back over here. Because you know you ain't going to be happy over there. You know
Right.
you don't want all of that.
Right. Right.
So we operate from a place of the stinking thinking, as one of my coaches used to say,
Hmm.
just living in a space of negativity that no longer
Hmm.
serves your higher good.
Right.
And it's like saying you have 10 things to do, you did 9 and you didn't get one done. You focused on that one you did not get done.
Hmm. Hmm.
Why are you staying stuck in that space instead
Right.
of
Right.
holding on to the 9 that you accomplished, that you can
Hmm. Hmm.
celebrate?
Right.
And
Right.
I encourage women, celebrate your wins, big, small, or indifferent,
That's
because
right.
that's what's going to empower you to
That's
keep
right.
moving forward
Celebrate.
when you start
Yes.
celebrating,
Yes.
and
Absolutely.
celebrate them with the right people,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
not the people who don't know how to celebrate your wins, even though they want the same thing.
Yeah.
Celebrate with the right people
Right.
because
Right.
they know that their season is coming as well.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So they're going to
I
celebrate with
will tell
you.
you, I'm learning that, right? I am feeling that right now. I am in a bright vibrational state right now, that I have never been in before.
Hmm.
Never been in before. I am allowing that vibrational state to be to really. I'm embracing it, and as most things, when they vibrate, like your phone, it will fall. Things will start falling off, and that's not
Hmm.
bad.
I like to say, release
Friends,
them with love.
yeah,
Mhm.
people, friends, things.
Release them with love. Yep.
Yes, and they're released. I mean, I'm feeling like I'm feeling autumn. I'm feeling like the tree in autumn. Like the leaves are just falling. But I'm learning that how to use that same bud that's there. How that now I can utilize internally and make things work. Make things work
Hmm. Most
inside.
definitely.
So it's a different feeling, because I didn't know what it was. The when you change vibration, megahertz. You have
Hmm.
no idea. You're like, what the heck is going on, right?
Hmm. Most definitely. Most
You say that
definitely.
a lot, yeah.
Yes. The one thing that's always important that we need to learn to lean more into is when it comes to our happiness, recognizing that A person cannot make you happy. They only can
No,
enhance the happiness
no,
you already have.
no.
So you need, when people say, when I get a lot of people requesting readings that pertain to relationships, and I go, and they say, I just want someone who's going to make me happy. No, you don't. Oh, my kids make me happy. If they're teenagers, they're going to change their mood next week.
That is
So
correct.
it's like you have to go within yourself
Yeah,
and check in with the person in the mirror to identify what is it that's going to
yeah,
make you happy. Because then
yeah,
when that perfect partner, not even, I won't even say perfect, when that person for that moment comes into your life for how or whatever
yeah,
seasons they happen to stay,
yeah.
you know yourself so well that your energy exudes what brings you joy, what brings you happiness.
Hmm.
And they just simply come in to enhance that happiness. Because should
Absolutely.
you ever part ways, the one thing that you're going to recognize is you part ways, they can't take your happiness with them because it's yours and you have
Yep, it's
ownership of
not
it.
in their bag. That's correct. That is so correct. Well, that is a great ending, Tina. I mean, that is a great ending to this podcast. We'll definitely have you back because I think that you have a wealth of information. We can't squeeze it all out of you at one time. You know,
Understandable.
definitely have you back because I know there's so many pieces to this that you can open up and share with the audience. But I want to thank you for being here today because you have been magnificent and you have given us some
Thank
things
you.
to think about and some ways to feel and on a higher level. So thank you so
Yes.
much for that.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is Edna White and my esteemed guest, Tina C. Hines, saying goodbye for now.